Hello everyone, Brian here. It's October, and even in Southern California, in the urban peripherals of Los Angeles, where our climate is warmer, we're planting garlic, and today we'll be planting a hardneck garlic, and the specific variety is Chesnok Red. The bulbs were originally purchased from a grower in Oregon back in 2014, and we had a crop in 2015, and this is our crop from 2016. This is our biggest garlic bulb, and we saved it to plant our crop for next year, 2017. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about garlic, please be sure to check out the video, the basic info on garlic video. Today, before we plant our garlic, we'll be looking at and harvesting compost to help our garlic grow nice and big. And we'll be talking about compost. So we'll harvest some compost, and then we'll go out in front and plant these cloves. Aside from worm casting, compost is one of the best things for your plants, and you can make it at home with your yard trimmings or kitchen scraps. And we're gonna harvest our compost today. The other thing about compost and compost bins is that they attract grubs, your June beetles, and other grubs that if you find they're troublesome in your garden. If you have a compost bin, they're gonna want to come to the compost bin more than in your yard. You'll see a bunch of grubs in our compost bin. The grubs help break down your compost, so you get grub manure. And for us, we have a fish that it's a cichlid that we feed these grubs to, and also we have a couple redfoot tortoises, and they indulge on these grubs. So so we welcome the grubs. Here's our compost. It's nice and black and loose, and looks kind of like coffee grounds. Even though there's a bunch of larger textured material in here, we can screen it out, or sometimes I just hand screen it out, or I just put it into the soil with our plants. So we harvested about 10 gallons of compost, and it looks like there's probably another 10 gallons in here. So what we'll do is we'll harvest it all. So here's our compost that we harvested, and we'll spread the wealth around the garden. Here's our Chesnok Red garlic bulbs, and this year we're going to do an experiment to see what the results are. And what is that experiment? This is a garlic bulb that was harvested during its recommended time. So when you take it out of the ground at the optimal time, the casing is still wrapped around. This one, on the other hand, was allowed to grow for another month, and in that time, all the casing kind of rotted away, or just broke down and rotted away. But with the extra time, it made these pretty big bulbs. So one hypothesis is that with bigger bulbs, we'll get bigger. With these bigger cloves, we'll get bigger bulbs back. So we're gonna try that as our experiment for this year. Let's open this one up and see how big the cloves are. See if it's sizable. Its size is comparable with the one that we left to grow for another month. So leaving it to grow another month doesn't make the bulbs any larger than picking it at its optimal, it looks like, time. Maybe, yeah, it didn't seem to make any cloves that are larger. So nonetheless, we'll plant these guys out. Right off the bat, these guys are probably going to be a little bit more dry compared to these guys here, which had the casing to protect it more. So we'll go ahead and plant these guys and see how they do come June of next year. So before we go and plant our cloves, just real quick, from the one bulb, intact bulb, we have 4 really good cloves and we have 2 really small ones. So we're not going to plant these, but we'll plant these 4 cloves. Between the 2 bulbs that we have 8 cloves, so I'm looking for maybe a couple more larger cloves to plant. So here's one of the larger ones. This one's not too much smaller, so we'll get this one from this bulb here. The bulbs look small, but they have pretty big cloves on here. So let's see here. We have, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cloves and 2 pretty big ones. So that's a pretty decent sized one. Okay, looks like we have our garlic cloves. We'll go and plant these, and if we need more, we'll come back and find the larger ones to plant. Okay, we'll head out to the front yard. Garlic takes about half a year to grow, and they like full sun. So for me, ideally, the front yard is the place to plant them, because then they get their full sun here, and also it's where I can just leave them in the ground and not worry about them taking up a growing area in the backyard for half a year. And before we get to where we need to go, just real quick, down below here is a pineapple. This was grown maybe last year. Out here it is grown in clay, so it's probably not as big as it can be. But I wanted to show you guys, for those that are participating in the pineapple challenge. I wish I could join you, but I'm trying to be good about not getting overwhelmed with things to grow. Here is our bright lights chard that we planted earlier in the month, I believe, and they're getting bigger now. Got some red ones, some yellow ones. I guess I normally save this for the end of the video, these bonus clips, but since we're heading out to where we need and passing by, we'll just stop and talk about them real quick. This is the area where we've been growing our garlic for the last 2 years, and the recommendation with garlic and probably most plants is not to plant them in the same spot for more than 3. The idea is that after some time, pests and disease will probably find the plants that you're growing and start to attack them. So this has been a really good spot. Right now, what's growing here is some holy basil or tusi, and these are the Kapoor tusi. We won't pull them out and plant our garlic here. Instead, we're going to head towards the large planter over there, and it looks like it's can be a pretty sunny spot. So over here, we already started work on prepping our planting bed, and we'll add some compost in here and plant our garlic. So this soil has previously been amended with compost and some peat moss, which helps with increasing the acidity. And for California, our soil is generally alkaline, and garlic like very acidic soil. So we did that, and now we're going to add in compost here. I'm going to do it a handful at a time, mostly to make sure that I'm not spreading the grubs in here. So growing garlic in warmer climates has complete opposite considerations than growing garlic in cooler climates. So since we know about and have experience in growing garlic in warmer climates, we can talk about them with a little bit of expertise. I guess the general rule is that growing garlic in warmer climates is going to be opposite than uh, growing in cooler climates. So if you're in a cooler climate and you're looking for information on growing garlic, kind of take that in consideration, that this is mostly for growing in warmer climates, but we can still kind of talk about garlic growing in cooler climates. So the first thing about garlic is they like well-draining soil. That's why we have a lot of light material like compost and peat moss and other amendments like the store-bought garden soil, which has mulch and sawdust in it. The other thing it likes is a lot of nutrients. So that's why we're using compost. And in warmer climates, you can give it a lot of nutrients right off the bat, because then the garlic will start growing. In the cooler climates, you don't want a lot of growth happening, because what will end up happening is when you experience your frost, all that growth is going to be damaged by the cold. So in the cooler climates, you're probably going to want to feed your garlic with compost after frost. And then the other thing is, in our warmer climate, we don't have to plant our garlic as deep. So I generally plant it with the tip, maybe a quarter of an inch to half an inch at most in the soil. Because once again, we don't have frost, and planting garlic shallow is generally a good idea. And as far as spacing, we're going to be planting them about 3 inches apart, because I try to imagine how big the bulb will get. And I grow. It's just like baking cookies. You space them apart on your cookie sheet as so that they just barely have space, so that they don't touch each other when they're finally done baking. So that's the idea that we use when it comes to planting garlic. So we can just do this, since our soil is nice and loose. Put them on top, and then we'll push them into the ground when we're done. I try to visualize how big the bulbs will get by putting my hands kind of around them after I plant them, if I'm not entirely sure. If you're new to planting garlic, you're going to want to plant the tip side up, because the roots are down here at the bottom of the clove. So those 4 are the garlic that we allowed to grow an extra month, and we'll have to make note of that, so that we know when it comes time to harvest and we get the size that we get, we know what they were. And the other thing about garlic is I found that they liked to be planted close with each other. So generally, giving plants a lot of space is a good idea, but what I found with garlic is that they like to be really close to one another. So plant them as close as you can, because it really benefits them. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plants. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 6. I could probably plant another row of garlic here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more plants. The space that you can't see on camera right now is going to be returned to the dahlia that we just dug up. So we'll just push these guys into the ground. And then top it off with some compost. and we're good to go. So so I'm gonna go and get the other garlic, plant them off camera, um, and that's pretty much it on planting garlic. I hope I didn't leave out any important details. If I do, I'll put it in the video description below, or if I remember, I'll put it in the comments. Um, yeah, we'll just wait until um, what is it, June, July, to harvest these guys. And surprisingly, these guys will pop out of the ground pretty soon. There's always one that's eager to go, and it'll pop out of the ground maybe in a month or so. But generally, they will start coming out around January, I believe. But I can't really remember. But I guess I'll do some updates. Maybe a video on itself, where I'll just put the updates at the end of the videos of other videos. Well, yeah, that's garlic planting, and one of the things that I like to do and look forward to doing in October. The garlic gets harvested in July, and then you have June to July, and there's a 4-month wait uh, to plant them. It's always fun to plant garlic. This particular variety, the Chesnok Red garlic, is said to be one of the more garlicky garlics, and its flavor retains in cooking. So if you like garlic, check out the Chesnok Red garlic. And it's also one of the garlics that you can plant in our warmer California climate, at least here in the Los Angeles area. One thing I didn't mention was that garlic, like hardneck garlics, like these guys, they need a cold period in order to form cloves. So that's why we always are ecstatic when we can grow hardneck garlics in warm climate like here. Just waiting for the plane to go by. With the weather cooling down, the planes fly a little bit lower, and I would imagine that they can fly a little bit higher because the air is denser and there's more lift that they can draw from it. But I'm digressing. Anyways, yeah, the Chesnok Red garlic is a very garlicky garlic, and one that I enjoy to grow and use. So thanks for joining me out here this morning as we plant our garlic, and we'll be hoping that we get large cloves or large bulbs back next year. This is a new growing area. I think it gets a lot of sun once it comes around this way, and we'll get sun in the late morning through sunset, so it should be really happy here. Yeah, I guess that's it for today. I've been rambling a lot this morning, so once again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. And oh, happy gardening. This is the front yard as of fall, and we have our tartan dahlia here. It's supposed to be a lot bigger and more stunning than this, so we're going to move it to a different spot once it dies back for the year, and in doing so we'll amend the clay with some compost so it can be happy. In the back is the Pardon Me daylily, which is still blooming. In the coming days, this area will get a major haircut as we prepare for winter. So we cut everything back and replant lots of things so that they can be growing back nice and lush again. So we'll be doing that in the coming days, including giving this redbud a major pruning. I think we're gonna get this branch down here a cut, so